Learn about the world. Andorra. Andorra is a landlocked sovereign state in southwestern Europe, located east of the Pyrenees, bordered by Spain and France. Andorra is the sixth smallest country in Europe, with an area of 468 square kilometers. Andorra's capital, Vella, is the highest capital city in Europe, at 1,023 meters above sea level. Basic information. Full name, Principality of Andorra. Government type, parliamentary democracy with 2 monarchs. ISO, AD, and. Country domain, AD. Time zone, +1 o'clock. Telephone code, +376. Capital, Andorra la Vella. Largest cities or towns in Andorra: Andorra la Vella, Escaldes in Gordani, in Camp, Sant Julià de Lòria, La Massana, Santa Coloma, Ordino, Canillo, El Pa de la Casa, Arinsal. Area, 468 square kilometers. Terrain, mainly rugged mountains, highest being Coma Pedrosa at 2,942 meters. Climate, temperate, cold winters, hot and dry summers. Population, 87,486, 2025. Main ethnic groups, Andorrans, Catalans. Spanish, French, Portuguese. Religion, Roman Catholic. Languages, Catalan. Official, Spanish and French. Natural resources, hydroelectric power, mineral water, timber, iron ore and lead. Agricultural products, limited, only 2% of land area is arable. Exports, tobacco, furniture. Imports, consumer goods, food, fuel, electricity. Currency, euro, EUR. Foreign relations. Since the establishment of sovereignty with the ratification of the Constitution in 1993, Andorra has moved to become an active member of the international community. In July 1993, Andorra established its first diplomatic mission in the world to the United Nations. Foreign affairs are supervised by the Ministry of External Affairs. Andorra is a full member of the United Nations, UN, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD. International Criminal Court, ICC, International Center for the Study of the Preservation and Restoration of Cultural Property, ICCROM, International Telecommunication Union, ITU. International Red Cross, Universal Copyright Convention, Council of Europe, World Tourism Organization, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, Customs Cooperation Council, CCC, and Interpol. Since 1991, Andorra has had a special agreement with the European Union. Disputes, international, none. Andorra maintains diplomatic relations with 155 countries. Andorra does not have its own armed forces, although there is a small ceremonial army. Responsibility for defending the nation rests primarily with France and Spain. However, in case of emergencies or natural disasters, the somatant, an alarm, is called and all able-bodied men between 21 and 60 of Andorran nationality must serve. This is why all Andorrans, and especially the head of each house, usually the eldest able-bodied man of a house, should, by law, keep a rifle. Even though the law also states that the police will offer a firearm in case of need. After the Constitution was ratified, Andorra would later establish diplomatic relations with their major allies aside from neighbors France and Spain, such as the United Kingdom in 1994 and the United States in 1995. It also has observer status at the World Trade Organization, WTO. On 16 October 2020, Andorra became the 190th member of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Andorra-France border extends for 57 km in southern France, Ariège and Pyrénées-Orientales département, and northern and northeastern Andorra. The border is France's third shortest, after its borders with Monaco and the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the latter on the Caribbean island of Saint Martin. Most of the Franco-Andorran border is determined by custom. There is no international treaty formally fixing the course of the border, except for the cases below. In 2001, a bilateral treaty between France and Andorra rectified and amended the border slightly. It provided for the exchange of two equal plots of land of 15,925 square meters, 4 acres, each, to enable Andorra to construct on its assigned plot a viaduct linking the Envalira tunnel to the French RN22. The French town of Porta, in the Pyrénées-Orientales département, challenged the land swap at the Judicial Division of the French Council of State, contesting that it was contrary to French constitution. It claimed not to have been consulted before the border treaty was drafted and approved. The Council of State dismissed the application, ruling that the treaty had been ratified by law and that therefore it was not for the Council to rule on the legality of the law. Moreover, there is no legal requirement for the state to consult with municipalities adjoining a border when adjusting the border. In May 2015, the European Commission adopted a cooperation program to improve environmental protection along Andorra's borders with Spain and France. There are minimal checks at the border, as Andorra is neither in the Schengen area nor in the European Union. French communes and Andorran parishes along the border. From west to east, French side 9 towns, 7 in Ariège, Auzat, Lercoul, Sigur, Gestes, Aston, Marans-les-Vals and L'Hospitalet-Près Landor, 2 in Pyrénées-Orientales, Porte-Pimorens and Porta. Andorran side 4 parishes, La Massana, Ordino, Canillo and Encamp. The border between Andorra and Spain is in the Pyrenees between northern Spain and southern Andorra. It is 64 kilometers, 40 miles long. It is an external border of the EU, as well as an external border of the Schengen area. As Andorra is neither part of the EU nor a party to the Schengen Agreement, the Spanish-Andorran border runs 64 kilometers, 40 miles, between the south of Andorra and northern Spain, by the autonomous community of Catalonia, in the Pyrenees Mountains. Because both Spain and Andorra are situated in the same watershed, travel is easier, roads are better, than travel between Andorra and France. The sole official language of Andorra is Catalan. The main channel of communication between the two countries is through the Valira Valley between La Seu d'Urgell and the parish of Sant Julià de Lòria. The only border control at the Andorra-Spain border is located along this road. There is no rail crossing point. Human rights in Andorra are guaranteed under the Andorran Constitution. The State Department considers Andorra to have few human rights concerns. The Constitution and law prohibit torture and other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, arbitrary arrest and detention. Andorra has no defense force or military. The National Police, which have sole responsibility for internal security, are organized into 4 areas: public security, technical support, borders and traffic, and crime. The Constitution and law provide for an independent judiciary, and the government generally respected this provision in practice. The judiciary includes the Magistrates' Court and the Court of Courts. The Constitution and law provide for the right to a fair trial, and an independent judiciary generally enforce this right. Trials are public and defendants can request a jury. Defendants have the right to present evidence and consult with an attorney. Defendants have a presumption of innocence, and they have the right to appeal. Andorra prohibits the imprisonment of political dissidents. The Constitution and law prohibit arbitrary interference with privacy, family, home, or correspondence. The Constitution and law provide for freedom of speech and of the press. An independent press, an effective judiciary, and a functioning democratic political system are maintained. The Constitution and law provide for the freedom of assembly and association, and the government generally respected these rights in practice. The Constitution and law provide for freedom of religion, and the government generally respected this right in practice. Under the Constitution, the Roman Catholic Church and the state have a special relationship, however. The Catholic Church received no direct subsidies from the government. There were no reports of anti-Semitic acts against the approximately 300-person Jewish community. The Constitution and law provide for these rights, and the government generally respected them in practice. The Constitution and law prohibit forced exile, and the government did not employ it. The law does not provide for the granting of asylum or refugee status in accordance with the 1951 UN Convention relating to the status of refugees and its 1967 protocol. And the government has not established a system for providing protection to refugees. The government did not grant refugee status or asylum, however. It cooperated with the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees and other humanitarian organizations in assisting refugees. At the request of the Spanish government, the government accepted 5 Eritrean immigrants who were part of a group saved from a ship adrift in the Mediterranean Sea. The government said it accepted the group for humanitarian reasons. The Constitution and law provide citizens with the right to change their government peacefully, and citizens exercise this right in practice through periodic, free, and fair elections held on the basis of universal suffrage. General Council elections in April 2005 were considered free and fair and allowed the Conservative Liberal Party of Andorra to remain in power. Individuals and parties could freely declare their candidacy and stand for election. There were no reports of government corruption during the year. The law provides for public access to government information, and the government permitted access in practice for citizens and non-citizens, including foreign media. A number of domestic and international human rights groups generally operated without government restriction, investigating and publishing their findings on human rights cases. Government officials were cooperative and responsive to their views. The Ombudsman, who is elected by consensus of all political parties, is authorized to hear and investigate complaints by private citizens against government officials or agencies. The Ombudsman advised the government to follow World Health Organization recommendations concerning work and residence permits for immigrants. The government's denial of permits to people with certain diseases, including those affected by HIV, is a practice that the Ombudsman stated could violate human rights. The Andorran International Women's Association, IWA, Caritas, the Andorran Women's Association, AWA, and Women's Group formed a platform for human rights in January with the purpose of ensuring that human rights are adhered to in the country. The Constitution and law declare that all persons are equal before the law and prohibit discrimination on grounds of birth, race, gender, origin, opinions, or any other personal or social condition. However, the law grants several rights and privileges exclusively to citizens. Violence against women was a problem. According to the Ministry of Health, Welfare, and Family, violence against women increased during the year. The number of reports of physical abuse rose to approximately 110 cases. Prostitution is illegal and was not a problem. Transport. Andorra is a landlocked country in Europe, which lies between France and Spain, whose transport infrastructure is primarily road provision. Andorra has no railways and never had. Although the line connecting La Tour de Carol and Toulouse, which in turn connects to France's TGVs at Toulouse, runs within 2 kilometers (1.2 miles) of the Andorran border. One station in France is connected by bus to Andorra la Vella, L'Hospitalet Près l'Andorre, served by the SNCF. A bus service used to run to La Tour de Carol, served by both SNCF's line to Toulouse and Spain's Renfe line to Barcelona. A new public transport system, Metro Airy, was proposed by the government in 2004, but has not been built. It would have been an elevated cable metro system that would glide above the city's river. Andorra has a network of roads with a total length of 269 kilometers, 167 miles, of which 198 kilometers, 123 mi, are paved, leaving 71 kilometers, 44 mi, of unpaved road. The main road to the north, France, goes through the Envalira Pass, which is 2,409 meters, 7,904 feet, high but nevertheless open all year round as it has a tunnel as well. The two main roads out of Andorra la Vella are the CG1 to the Spanish border and the CG2 to the French border via the Envalira tunnel near Pas de la Casa. In winter, the main roads in Andorra are usually quickly cleared of snow and remain accessible. But the main road out of Andorra on the French side, RN20 on the French side and CG2 on the Andorran side, is less frequently cleared and is sometimes closed by avalanches. Other main roads out of Andorra la Vella are the CG3 and CG4 to Arcalis and Pal, respectively. There are no airports for fixed-wing aircraft within Andorra's borders, but there are, however, heliports in La Massana, Cami Heliport, Arinsal and Escaldes in Gordani with commercial helicopter services. Nearby airports located in Spain and France provide access to international flights for the Principality. There is an airport located in the neighboring Catalan comarca of Alt Urgell, 12 kilometers south of the Andorran-Spanish border. Named Andorra la Seu d'Urgell Airport, starting July 2015 it has operated commercial flights to Madrid and Palma de Mallorca, and as of September 2022 flights are operated to Madrid by Iberia Regional. The nearest other airports are at Perpignan, France, 156 kilometers from Andorra, and Lleida, Spain, 160 kilometers from Andorra. The largest nearby airports are at Toulouse, France, 165 kilometers from Andorra, and Barcelona, Spain, 215 kilometers from Andorra. There are hourly bus services from both the Barcelona and Toulouse airports to Andorra. Bus services cover all metropolitan areas and many rural communities, with services on most major routes running half-hourly or more frequently during peak travel times. There are frequent long-distance bus services from Andorra to Barcelona and Barcelona Airport, and also to Toulouse and Toulouse Airport, in each case taking approximately 3 hours. Bus routes also serve Girona Airport and Portugal via Lleida. Bus services are mostly run by private companies, but some local ones are operated by the government. The private bus companies are Autocars Nadal, Camino Bus, Cooperativa Interurbana Andorrana, Eurolines, Hispano Andorrana, and Novatel. Education. The Qualified Education Law of Andorra was passed in 1993. It guarantees free public education from age 4 until the end of compulsory schooling. Children between the ages of 6 and 16 are required by law to have full-time education. Education up to secondary level is provided free of charge by the government. There are 3 systems of school: Andorran, French and Spanish, which use Catalan, French and Spanish languages respectively, as the main language of instruction. Parents may choose which system their children attend. All schools are built and maintained by Andorran authorities. But teachers in the French and Spanish schools are paid for the most part by France and Spain. 39% of Andorran children attend Andorran schools, 33% attend French schools, and 28% Spanish schools. The Universitat d'Andorra, UDA, is the state public university and is the only university in Andorra. It was established in 1997. The university provides first-level degrees in nursing, computer science, business administration, and educational sciences, in addition to higher professional education courses. The only two graduate schools in Andorra are the Nursing School and the School of Computer Science, the latter having a PhD program. The geographical complexity of the country as well as the small number of students prevents the University of Andorra from developing a full academic program. And it serves principally as a center for virtual studies, connected to Spanish and French universities. The Virtual Studies Center, Centre d'Estudis Virtuals, at the university runs approximately 20 different academic degrees at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels in fields including tourism, law, Catalan philology, humanities, psychology, political sciences, audiovisual communication, telecommunications engineering, and East Asia studies. The center also runs various postgraduate programs and continuing education courses for professionals. Healthcare. The Andorran healthcare system was set up on the 24th of September 1918 in response to the Spanish flu pandemic. Before that, each commune was responsible for contracting physicians and for such regulation on healthcare issues as they chose. Under the Healthcare Administration Ordinance of 9 May 1931, the parish health boards were given statutory status. In the Lancet's Healthcare Access and Quality Index, which ranked 195 countries' healthcare systems between 1990 and 2015, the country scored 95/100ths, the best in the world. Healthcare in Andorra is provided to all employed persons and their families by the government-run social security system, Caixa Andorrana de Seguretat Social, which is funded by employer and employee contributions in respect of salaries. The cost of healthcare is covered at rates of 75% for outpatient expenses such as medicines and hospital visits, 90% for hospitalization, and 100% for work-related accidents. The remainder of the costs may be covered by private health insurance. Other residents and tourists require full private health insurance. The main hospital, Nostra Senora de Meritexell Hospital, is in Escaldes in Gordani. There are also 12 primary healthcare centers run by Servei Andorra d'Atenció Sanitària, the Andorran healthcare service, in various locations around the Principality. For specialist treatment, patients may be sent to Barcelona or Toulouse. Life expectancy in Andorra was 79.8 for men and 85.2 years for women in 2010. A new measure of expected human capital calculated for 195 countries from 1990 to 2016 and defined for each birth cohort as the expected years lived from age 20 to 64 years and adjusted for educational attainment, learning or education quality, and functional health status was published by The Lancet in September 2018. Andorra had the 18th highest level of expected human capital with 24 health, education, and learning adjusted expected years lived between age 20 and 64 years. Andorra became a member of the World Health Organization on January 14, 1997. Overall, Andorra's healthcare provides everything one needs to support a long, healthy life in the mountains. With a small but functional hospital to support the population and a generous social security system that covers up to 100% of medical expenses, the tiny Principality of Andorra manages to beat most major developed countries in access and treatment of healthcare and life expectancy. though the top spot fluctuates year by year. Andorra often takes the trophy for highest life expectancy in the world. The 2010 Global Burden of Disease study found Andorra to be second in the world with an average life expectancy of 79.8 for males, second behind Iceland at 80.0 years, and 85.2 years for females, second to Japan at 85.9 years. 2012 life expectancy from the WHO is 83. 2017 statistics from the USCIA places Andorra in 8th spot at 82.9 years. A 2017 publication from The Lancet ranked healthcare systems from 195 countries and territories between 1990 to 2015. The study reviewed the most 32 frequent causes death from the global burden of disease, and how these related to access and quality of adequate healthcare. The study produced a HAQ score, or Healthcare Access and Quality Index, a score out of a possible 100. Andorra found itself to be the best healthcare system in the world, with a score of 95/100ths. Those speculating on the reasoning of Andorra's high life expectancy often speak of the locally grown and grazed food, lots of leafy green vegetables, cows and, yes, horses, which graze high in the mountains. Hiking and skiing is a big part of the culture, along with a slower pace of life with much lower stress than in many other cultures. For most residents, air is fresh and the land is mountainous. A short walk to meet a friend often involves some climbing, and almost all apartments and houses come with a set of stairs. So even the laziest Andorran will get some mild exercise each day. This is why so many expats choose Andorra for residency. Outside of the obvious fiscal advantages, they know their health will be taken care of for decades to come. Andorra's hospital houses both public and private physicians. Patients are treated to a modest but private room, often with a futon for a guest to stay. There are approximately 2.5 beds per 1,000 residents. All but the most major emergencies are handled in Andorra. For extreme cases, patients are flown to Barcelona by helicopter. Sports. Andorra is famous for its winter sports. Andorra has the largest territory of ski slopes in the Pyrenees, 3,100 hectares and about 350 kilometers of slopes, and 2 ski resorts. Grandvalira is the largest and most popular resort. Other popular sports played in Andorra include football, rugby union, basketball, and roller hockey. For roller hockey, Andorra usually plays in the CERH Euro Cup and FIRS Roller Hockey World Cup. In 2011, Andorra was the host country to the 2011 European League Final 8. The country is represented in association football by the Andorra national football team. The team gained its first competitive win in a European Championship qualifier on the 11th October 2019. Against Moldova. Football is governed in Andorra by the Andorran Football Federation. Founded in 1994, it organizes the national competitions of association football, Primera Divisio, Copa Constitucio and Supercopa, and futsal. Andorra was admitted to UEFA and FIFA in the same year, 1996. FC Andorra, a club based in Andorra la Vella founded in 1942. Compete in the Spanish Football League system. Rugby is a traditional sport in Andorra, mainly influenced by its popularity in southern France. The Andorra national rugby union team, nicknamed Els Izzards, plays on the international stage in rugby union and rugby sevens. VPC Andorra 15 is a rugby team based in Andorra la Vella, which actually plays in the French Championship. Basketball's popularity has increased in the country since the 1990s, when the Andorran team BC Andorra played in the top league of Spain, Liga ACB. After 18 years, the club returned to the top league in 2014. Other sports practiced in Andorra include cycling, volleyball, judo, Australian rules football, handball, swimming, gymnastics, tennis, and motorsports. In 2012, Andorra raised its first national cricket team and played a home match against the Dutch Fellowship of Fairly Odd Places Cricket Club. The first match played in the history of Andorra at an altitude of 1,300 meters, 4,300 feet. Andorra first participated at the Olympic Games in 1976. The country has appeared in every Winter Olympic Games since 1976. Andorra competes in the Games of the Small States of Europe, being the host country on 3 occasions, in 1991, 2005 and 2025. As one of the Catalan countries, Andorra is home to a team of Castellers, or Catalan human tower builders. The Castellers d'Andorra, based in the town of Santa Coloma d'Andorra, are recognized by the Coordinadora de Cols Castellers de Catalunya, the governing body of Castells.